Boom. What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's NBA Talk with Jay Money. We got our guy Rob Veno here with us, man, as we will every Monday this season. We like cashing on Mondays, man. We like when Rob comes on the show. It's also $9 Monday over on the site at wagertalk.com as well. Rob, a lot of great cappers over there. What's up with you, Rob? Everything cool with you?
Yeah. All good here, Jay. Looking forward to week 2 of the NBA, to tell you the truth, because the first few days were, kind of stumbling out of the gates. But yesterday, NBA came up profitable. So I think, you know what? Sometimes you learn that you have to hang around and wait for a little bit of data, and then we can start playing. I think there's a lot of things we do are somewhat similar with rest period in the NBA and minutes and whatnot. And it provided a couple of winners yesterday, one being Minnesota, and the night before, I think Dallas over Memphis, catching some teams on back-to-back. So now that we've got some stuff under our belt, I think we can see which direction these teams are headed.
Yep, right there with you on that, Rob. Definitely going to see where they're headed. Some teams going to start out hot, then falter out. Other teams going to start out bad, and then really catch a win. But let's segue into the first game here, Rob. We got we're going to the streets of Philadelphia here. The Sixers are laying 12 points. Talk about teams that hadn't started out well. They've started out 0-3 straight up and against a spread here, Rob. What can the Sixers? Can they get back to winning ways? They're going up against a doormat here today in the tonight here in the Indiana Pacers, but can we trust the Sixers here laying a bunch of points, Rob?
Yeah, the Sixers, obviously, they're the guys that are the happiest of all that the Phillies and the Eagles are winning, because nobody in this town right now cares that the Sixers are 0-3. Nobody even knows it, I don't think. So they're hiding behind a lot of success for the other two squads. Doc Rivers was a little upset after that game the other night. He said that the team, and it's early to think this, Jay, but then, well, let me get to what he said first. You probably heard the same thing. He said they can't pick and choose when they want to come and play, because there's no easy win. There's no gimme in the NBA, and right. San Antonio certainly proved that Saturday night, right? But when I heard that, I thought, all right, maybe he can motivate him. But then I thought back to last year when Trae Young said he really could care less early on about the regular season. And we may get to Atlanta, but their numbers are kind of saying that he cares less again. So can they be motivated? I would think so, Jay. I think at home, 2 times in 3 days against teams that you should be cakewalks. They're double-digit favorites in both games, right? You would think that they'd come here tonight. Embiid did have 40 last game, so he did his part. And Indiana, for those that are going to play this game, Indiana is a team that really gets themselves into holes in the first half and then try to dig themselves out. So maybe Philly can get there quick if they're motivated, and Indianapolis does their usual, dig a giant deficit. Maybe first half would be a way to go here with the Sixers.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they did cover that first quarter versus the Spurs. They did cover that first quarter, and then the second half, it got really tight. That second quarter, it was a horrible second quarter. That's what Rob is speaking to. It was a horrible second quarter. So in theory, the way that we should be looking at that, the Sixers look at that second quarter like, hey, look, we came out the right way, guys. We kind of just got smacked up, kind of gave up on the game, thought it was going to be easy. So maybe Philly early here. I'm not taking it, but I could definitely see it happening, my guys. I could definitely see the Sixers come out here smoking them. I'm not betting it, but just the way that we're looking at the games, obviously Pacers don't have a ton of size down low, right? So Embiid could go for 40 points once again here. It's not something I'm looking at, but I could maybe Philly come out with some first quarter, first half, maybe, my guys. But let's go over here to the streets of New York here, going to New York City, Madison Square Garden here, Rob. We got the Knicks are laying 7.5 points versus the Orlando Magic here. We got a total sitting at 220. You like anything here, my brother?
Well, Orlando's so shorthanded right now, Jay. It takes me off of them. So when I look at it, it would either be the Knicks at home or nothing. The recent injury now to Jalen Suggs hurts Orlando even more. I mean, they already had a bunch of guys out anyway, but they did come up with a big game the other night. So it's always hard in the NBA. And I shouldn't say it's hard, because I think we found this to be quite profitable is when, these star players go down and the lines jump, because the NBA markets are so reactionary to injury. There's no question. They might be the worst when it comes to reacting to injuries. I just don't know if Orlando can take this show on the road. I don't know that they're deep enough against the Knicks. The Knicks probably at home looking for a win here. So that would be my look, would be New York here. They've played, they don't really play Tom Thibodeau ball, do they, Jay? You expect defense out of them, and that defense still isn't coming. And getting Jalen Brunson wasn't going to help their defense any. He's a point guard who can, he's 100% effort, but he's not going to help you defensively in a man-to-man situation. So I don't know. I didn't play this game, but I would look Knicks if I had to in some form, just because it's hard for me to get to Orlando with this lineup right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the Magic, what are they doing? They're playing teams close, but they're losing the game outright. They lost the first game versus Detroit. That was a 3.5 spread. They lost it by 4. They were playing the Hawks. The Hawks were laying 9-0 when they lost by 10. Then you keep it within 6 versus the Celtics. So I think the Magic are going to be that type of team, Rob, where they come out, play a really representative 3 quarters, and then kind of falter out late in the 4th quarter. Obviously, this team wants to be competitive, but they don't really want to win games. So it's a recipe for that. I think the Magic will be covering a lot of spreads as dogs this year. Not saying that they'll cover it here tonight, but this team, they can hang, man. They can. I like what they do with the size advantage when they kind of go mini Cavaliers and bring 3 guys that are 6'10" or more. It's really tough to score inside the paint there, but the guard position, the guard depth, my guys, is not there for the Magic. Suggs is banged up right now, so it's just Anthony out there with guys like Terrence Ross. They're still missing Fultz as well, man. Magic have they lost Gary Harris before the season even started. They really have a lot of injury-prone players, man. It's tough, my guys. But Magic, they're really good with the bigs. Don't have as lot of many guards. It could be where the Knicks really clean them up, my guys. It's a tough game for me. Let's go over here to the streets of Miami. Here we got the Heat laying 3.5 points versus the Toronto Raptors. Here, Rob, you do get that quick game, right? You know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at the under in this game, man. These two teams scored 71 points in the first quarter. In the first game, it was 38-33, and then the rest of the game, it really slowed down. We know that the Raptors can sometimes struggle offensively. Really great defensive team, right, Rob? This Heat team is struggling offensively right now, but they got to bring the defense here. But with two teams playing back-to-back, with the first game going over, I'd look towards the under here. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, and I think the second half slowed down Saturday night, Jay, because both teams were on back-to-backs, right? They came out, they gave what they had in the first half, and then energy level goes down second half because early season back-to-backs. I agree with you that Miami right now, they are struggling offensively. There's no question. The fact that game got over the other night is, I think, as you mentioned, solely due to that first quarter. That was really a high-paced, high-scoring. But the Scotty Barnes questionable tag now is it's a concern at the least. It's a concern where Toronto is concerned because he brings a lot of their defensive energy to this team. He's a scrappy guy. He's not necessarily a shooter, but a scorer, an energy dude. So with his status up in the air, it's hard to get to Toronto. I would expect at some point Miami is such a good three-point shooting team that you would think at some point they have one of these games where these things start to fall. But I don't know that I can trust it yet, right? And as you mentioned, it is the second time they're meeting each other in 3 days, so they know a little bit more about their sets and everything. You can guard them better. Under probably would be a good way to look, Jay, after a 221 game the other night. So, again, it's one I didn't play. Mainly because I don't know about Barnes yet, but under, I could see under. I really could in this contest.
Yeah, and I feel like more energy. They were on a back-to-back. They could be tired legs, but I feel like energy-wise, on a back-to-back, you want to play less defense because that's what really gives you energy. Now, with two teams coming in here rested, they just played each other. They know what they like to do, right? I just see this being a more of a defensive type of game. The Raptors are a defense type of team to me. They're an under type of team. That first game went over. Usually, guys, y'all know what happens, man. When these two teams play back-to-back, when the first one goes over, the second game is probably going under. If the first game went under, then the second one points probably going over, right? It feels like a real slow type of game. They'll try to run next game. If they're running the first game, things will likely slow down here. That's a good point. They probably won't have Barnes here. What I'm listening from the coach, they said he's game time call, but the coach said that he might miss some time here. So it'd be interesting to see. Maybe he's feeling a little bit better today, but wouldn't be surprised if Scotty Barnes was out in this one. And Rob, that's a good point. That could definitely hurt for the Raptors as well, because this team isn't really they're not great offensively, so they need all their bodies. They do get Chris Boucher back today. Be interested to see if they get Otto Porter back in here for the first time, because they do need some three-point help there, my guys. Would lean Raptors lean to the under as well. If I'm making a bet in that game, it's definitely the under 215.5, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Minnesota here, Rob. We got the Timberwolves laying 8.5 points. This line opened up at 10. Some money coming back on the Spurs here. Obviously, with the Timberwolves playing on the back-to-back road home and fourth game in 6 nights as well. Laying close to double digits, Rob. You think we should hop on the Spurs here?
Well, obviously, it's your initial knee-jerk reaction, right? When we look at these back-to-backs, we want to play or fade the team that's on the back-to-back. However, when I went through my stuff overnight, Jay, I found that Minnesota, they did a good job with minutes. They must have anticipated San Antonio coming to town, high-paced game, because nobody in that starting lineup played 30 minutes except for Karl Anthony Towns, and he barely played 30 minutes. Everybody else was under 30. The minutes were really well dispersed. Minnesota had OKC off of back-to-backs last night, so they could get away with, spreading it out through 9 guys, everybody get double-digit minutes, and preserve themselves for this one here. If that's the case, you have to love Minnesota's talent over San Antonio's talent for sure. San Antonio did sneak up on Philadelphia the other night and beat them straight up. You have to be leery of that, because any Greg Popovich team, he's got a bunch of kids, but he's not, we talk an awful lot about teams that don't really want to win games. And I'm not sure the Spurs want to win games, but I'm sure that Greg Popovich is going to coach them. Right. So otherwise you're not going to get any minutes, period. So I think that they can be dangerous, but I think Minnesota maybe had a little bit of an eye on tonight's game when they shaved the minutes down for the starters. And I might look Minnesota's way here. I just think they're that much better than San Antonio in this given situation.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't like the rest disadvantage for the Timberwolves, especially in theory, I am in the business of taking the underdogs with the rest advantage here. And the Spurs do get that. Don't like the fact they go from Indy to Philly now over here to Minnesota. So they are somewhat traveling all over the place. I do think this will be a tanking type of team. It's hard to think that a Coach Popovich team will be tanking, but we don't know if teams like this want to win. They started out 2-1. See what I'm saying? So it's not saying they can't cover the spread. Also, with the Timberwolves have covered 7 out of the last 8 versus this team. So for whatever reason, they play really well up against the Spurs. The last game, they end up winning by 6 points. They were laying by 7. So they could very easily be 8-0 against the spread last 8 versus the Spurs, guys. So a lot of moving parts. But would it be, you make a good point there, Rob, about them doing the minutes. What do you think about this? Just real quick. Cat did have somewhat of a little injury or something. He was a little banged up or was sick before the season. Why do you think that he played most of the minutes? Do you think there's a slight chance that they might try and rest somebody? Obviously, they could get the win even if they rest one of the guys here. Do you think it's early season, right? But do you think that there's something to them playing Cat the most minutes out of everybody last night? I'm just asking.
Yeah, and it wasn't by much. Actually, I was wrong, Jay, because it was Anthony Edwards who played a couple of minutes more than Towns. But still, Towns did get to the 30-minute mark. And there's not really, when you look up and down their roster, they just got Naz Reid back. And generally speaking, Naz Reid would be the guy that would come in to replace Cat and take his minutes. What's interesting, Jay, is the shot attempts by this starting unit. How about this? I'll just run it down. Towns took 9 shots. McDaniels took 9 shots. D'Angelo Russell took 5 shots, and Rudy Gobert took 9 shots. The guy who led the team in shots obviously is going to be Anthony Edwards in that case, but also Noel off the bench took 16 shots. So it's almost as if, they were out there going through the motions last night, knowing they had a team they were better than, a team that was back-to-back. And like I said, I think there was a little eye on tonight's game. They want them both. In my mind, that signifies they want them both. So if I were going to play, I'd be on Minnesota.
Yeah, and they should have won all these games right now. This is an opportunity for the Wolves to start out 6-1 on the season. Like they have high aspirations this year. They are still trying to figure things out, but that was something right there because they had just talked about Edwards not necessarily getting as many shots because Gobert and Cat was out there, and that's crazy. The very next game, they basically just like, all right, Edwards, you get all the shots this time. So if you watch some interviews and stuff, maybe we could have got ahead on the prop there. I might have to start doing this, man. Really listening on these interviews. A player that didn't have a good game last game, they're gonna make sure that he's the focal point of the offense the next game, my guys. This is exactly what happened with Anthony Edwards there. If you watch the interview, you should have known that he was coming back in this one. Man, I missed that one. But good looks on this one, Rob. Hey, the Timberwolves have owned the Spurs. It's a tough game for me because Timberwolves obviously a lot better. I don't like that it's a fourth game in 6 nights with travel, though, laying that amount of points, my guys. So, but the Spurs, they can be a doormat, man. It'd be interesting to see what happens there. Let's go over here to the streets of Memphis here, Rob. We got the Grizzlies laying a point and a half. They are coming off a 41-point loss. Hopped on the Mavs. They're minus the 5.5. They smoked the Grizzlies. Now the Grizzlies coming back here off they've beaten the Nets 6 straight times. Do you think they continue to own the Nets here, Rob?
Well, I think the Nets probably come in here as hungry for a win as does Memphis. Obviously, Brooklyn's got to prove something against a quality team, right? I mean, it's this early in the season, and I'm saying that. And that's only because they came out in their very first game at home and got destroyed by New Orleans. And all of a sudden, you heard it right away. Oh, this isn't going to work for Brooklyn. We saw this coming. You know what I mean? People are, of the moment, not of the big picture all the time. And so Brooklyn, I would expect wants to come down there and perform well. I just think, the opener, Jay, total here was, I think, 227 or something like that. And to me, just incredibly low for these two teams. I expected something in the 230s, and especially having Memphis off of a 96-point performance. Not that we probably all were on Dallas the other night because it was situational play deluxe. You have Memphis off back-to-backs. You have Memphis shorthanded, and Dallas inside the division wants to set some type of tone. They did. Right. Good for Dallas. They did what they're supposed to do. But where Memphis is concerned, 96 points isn't their thing. 120 points is their thing, and it's Brooklyn's too. They both want to go up and down. You may get Dillon Brooks back here, which would help, obviously, Memphis. But from what I see early on, and this could change over the course of the season, even with Ben Simmons, this still isn't a good defensive team, Brooklyn, unless they're really, really motivated to be defensive. I don't think that'll be the case tonight. I think this gets up and down. I thought the opener was low. So for me, it was points, play the over. And that's the way I played it last night.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and this shit came up from 227.5 up to 233 now, my guys. So this has gotten popped as well, man. That was some good looks. You definitely got ahead of the number. I'll say, man, if you got a total that you really like, you definitely want to get on that one. Yeah, so it's up to 232.5, 233 up there at Bookmaker, man. So definitely the money has come on the over. Wouldn't talk anybody out of following the money here. Obviously, the Nets, they're going to try to run the gun. The Grizzlies as well, coming off a 41-point loss. I don't like to bet against teams. I do think the Grizzlies are I don't necessarily think they're a buy-on team right now. I mean, certain situations, right? But this team they don't look like the Grizzlies team of last year. They don't have as much depth as well. They're missing Triple J. They don't have Anderson and Milton coming off the bench. So you got guys like Conchar and Laravia coming in. They're good three-point shooters, but as far as defense, don't trust them. I don't trust them defensively, and they're young guys as well. So you can't really trust them handling the ball as well, my guys. So this Grizzlies team is somewhat of a learning curve. It's not to say they can't get there, but it's a tough game for me. In theory, if they wouldn't got it blown out so bad, Rob, I'd be taking the Nets, but I don't go against teams when they're coming off an absolute insulting loss because you really want to get back onto your winning ways there. You're going to come out motivated. So, and I like the Nets in their next game versus the Bucks. So I hope that the Grizzlies do win this game. I want the Nets to get blown out here, Rob. I want them to get smacked by 30 points, and then I'll be on the Nets real nice the next game, my guys. But just y'all know how I do. I look ahead, man. I got to look ahead. But let's go over here to the streets of Chicago here, Rob. We got the Bulls getting 6 points versus the Boston Celtics. Third straight road game, third game in 4 nights, all on a roll here for the Celtics before they go home. Does it matter here? Do we continue to take Celtics team total over, Rob?
Well, they weren't lying, right? Opening night, when the word was they want to run more, they want to push, they were not lying, Jay. It's 126, 111, 126, 3 straight games here. And the 126 against Orlando came off of a back-to-back playing Miami the night before. So you would think, you play Miami, a lot of energy in that game, especially without Robert Williams for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And they bounce back and just score at will. This combination of Brown and Tatum early on performing really well. I don't know that Chicago has the defensive capability to stop. And Chicago gets Zach LaVine back. They lose right away again. They were close with Washington the other night, and then Cleveland got them real good. So in my mind, when you lose by 32 to a team like the Cavs, a team that you're looking to climb ahead of, I figure you're probably due for a far better performance. So I think the Bulls will come. Maximum focus, 48 minutes. If that's the case, Boston's not going to change their ways. And I don't know that Billy Donovan in Chicago can exactly change what Boston does. You might want to go in there and say, well, we're not going to allow you to run like that. But I don't know that they have the people to do that. I think they're better suited to try and go with them and see if they can outscore them with DeRozan and LaVine and all their guys. For those reasons, you probably keep playing these Boston totals over until they get out of reach. Odds maker's going to compensate eventually. And at that point, maybe you stop. But here, I'd probably still look over, Jay, and maybe Boston team total over again, like you were saying.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off that, man. Some 5.5 starting to pop up. It just went down from 5.5. It went down to 5.5 from 6 at one of the sharpest books at Circa, my guys. So it's a 5.5 at Circa, DraftKings, and Bet Online now. Bookmaker will be the last one to be waiting on, but some money's starting to come in on the Bulls here. I agree with it, to be honest with you. I think that the Celtics, not that they can run out of gas, but this is early season. You won't go balls to the wall every single game. You kind of saw it versus the Magic. They didn't have Horford there, but this is the key here. LaVine and DeRozan. Can you keep up the scoring with Brown and Tatum? That's literally the whole game right there. If LaVine or DeRozan, one of them has a bad game and doesn't get the 20, they could possibly get blown out here. But if one of those guys goes for 30 and they can have that two type of tandem, if Vucevic can have a little bit better game, you're going to need the Sumu to step up, right? You're going to need guys like Kobe White off the bench to step up, because when they say this is what it is, when they bring Brogdon in versus second teams, he's absolutely smashing. So you have to have a defender off the bench to go with Brogdon there. But this one is on LaVine and DeRozan, in my opinion. And I think they have enough to keep up with them, man. I like the Bulls here, plus the 6, my guys. That's the only way I would look here. I think that at some point the Celtics are going to falter out. They're laying 6 on the road. Bulls, they were coming in off a back-to-back versus the Wizards there. See what I mean? Versus the Cavs. So home opener, they lose that one. Now it's the second game at home. Now they are a little bit rested, getting 6 points at the house. I want to take the Bulls there, my guys. I want to take the Bulls plus the 6 there. Let's go over to the streets of Houston here, Rob. We got the Rockets getting a point and a half, 2 points now. It's up to 2 now. Obviously now Sengun is questionable here, Rob. The Jazz are going to the finals, man. Let me put a little ticket in on them boys to make the playoffs or something. This Jazz team is cold as hell. Now marketing is balling out, guys. This guy marketing is absolute balling out. Rob, how you looking at this game?
Well, I mean, total as I stare right now, Jay's 233, and it should probably be 273 the way these two teams go. And Utah, they've established, and I don't know that I saw it coming prior to game one, that they were going to choose this style of play. They put a bunch of perimeter guys out there, and you have a hard time guarding all these guys. I mean, I watch them. It's not easy to find your way to every single one of these guys that's a scoring threat. They don't really care all that much about, I'm not going to say care. They don't have the defensive acumen to really play good defense. So their motto is, we'll score more than you. And that's been Steven Silas's motto since he got to Houston. Play fast, shoot faster, right? That was what he said before the season started last year. And they're continuing their way. So you've got a lot of guys on the floor here that are capable of scoring, that want to play at pace. And when you go through the Jazz's second quarter unit, right, when they switch off the first team, they still, Colin Sexton comes in there off the second. Last night, I think he only played 18 minutes and 51 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't a lot of minutes. So again, you start looking at these things and wondering if coach was anticipating back-to-backs, only play him less than 19 tonight because we're going to use them heavy tomorrow. But I think there's no way that I could be on under.
Conley's resting here, Rob.
There you go.
Why would he play here? He's the oldest player on the team. He played 36 minutes last night. This is a third and four. This is a back-to-back. Third game in 4 nights off of 2 overtime games and fourth game in 6 nights. Conley is resting this game. He's not playing back-to-back, and there's no real need to win, right, as well for Utah. Conley's resting. I'm not saying that they can't win the game, but look at this game as College Sexton starting as the point guard. I do not see Michael Conley playing in this game, guys, playing 36 minutes, overtime game, and back-to-back with travel. They play Houston again in a couple of days at home. See what I'm saying? Last little game of a little mini road trip. How do you still like the over without Conley? In theory, it should be even better without, because I think Conley probably slows the game down, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's still a good shooter, but he does slow the game down a little bit. And I think to that point, Jay, and actually, I should have said it prior to this, but I also marked down that Malik Beasley didn't play but 21 minutes last night. Mm-hmm. And the other starting guard, Jordan Clarkson, played close to 37. Jordan Clarkson, they could probably switch roles tonight. Beasley could probably play the heavier minutes. Clarkson could play the lesser minutes. And they're interchangeable. To your point, these are interchangeable parts. And also to your point, the Jazz could play even quicker without Conley on the floor. So a game with pace. Houston's going to try and outrun them. That's what they do. That's their thing. Again, the Jazz, just looking here real quick, 243, 258, 235. Those are the totals of their first 3 games. Here we're staring at 233 with an opponent that wants to go with them. Unless you run into horrendously bad shooting, you should be able to find your way over this number.
Yeah, that's a good point there. We know that the Rockets want to. What do you think? The Rockets been trying to pay a little bit more attention to defense this year. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing they did get some assistant coaches that's really preaching defense over there. It's a tough one for me. Obviously, we don't think that the Jazz will have all day. They probably won't be giving a lot of energy towards defense with the tired legs here. Second half here, I think the Jazz run out of gas here. And the Rockets, the way they run their gun, still a good recipe for the over. But Rockets should win this game, man. Good God, who knows? Who knows, man? I'm probably not betting against the Jazz because I'm not betting against the Jazz. They've taken my money. I'm probably not betting against them, but the spot would set up for the Rockets here. The public is heavy to the Jazz. They're 3-0. They're in an absolute terrible spot here, guys. I just want you guys to understand this. Third game back-to-back on the road. It's road, back-to-back. Third game in 4 nights. 2 of them went to overtime, and fourth game in 6 nights. It's a horrible spot in basketball. These are the spots that we fade a team, guys. So it's Rockets or nothing, simply on the rest advantage, my guys. It's not even the names of the teams or the players. It's just simply cap the game like they're robots, and you'd see the team B. Win this one by about 7 times out of 10, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Portland here. Last game up, Rob. Blazers getting 5 points at the house versus the Nuggets. It's actually come down to 4.5. So money coming on the Blazers. They're 3-0 on the season. Can they back it up here, Rob, with another win?
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that move, Jay, because I was in right away on the Nuggets last night, and again. Portland's in a back-to-back, and then I saw that 3.5 opener, and I thought, well, is somebody not playing? But that's not the case for Denver. Injury report shows, Colin Gillespie, your number 4 point guard, still sitting there. But Jason Hart, 36.5 minutes. Jeremy Grant, almost 35 minutes. Anthony Simons, 36 minutes. Damian Lillard, 34 minutes. All yesterday in a very close call against the Lakers, a game that came down to the end. And a game where you have to play hard minutes at the end of a game, right? There was no, let's put the towel on our head with 8 minutes left and rest. They had to play. And now they're going to play Denver. I didn't understand the line then. I don't understand movement towards Portland now. I think Denver's the far deeper team. I think Denver, you said before that Minnesota should be wanting to win all of these games right away. I believe Denver's in the same division, right? They're both Northwest. So for Denver, the same should stand true. And especially Portland walking around with a 3-0 record puts a little bullseye on their chest, right? You can't just walk in there and think, oh, we're going to blow the Blazers out. Michael Malone. Yeah, I get into Michael Malone a little bit because he rips his guys. Every 20 games or so, he's got something to say about his team. But he's a pretty good head coach, and I think that Denver should be the side here, Jay. I really don't understand Portland money.
Yeah, that's a good point. This line opened up at 3.5. It did touch 5 before trickling down to 4.5. So Blazers are trying to play some defense. Dame has had back-to-back 40-point games here now. So he's in a groove, but It was a good game they played versus the Suns. Be interested to see if the Nuggets can play some defense here. This game is going to be, can the Nuggets play defense? That's personally why I'm a little hesitation laying points on the road. But if they come and play defense here like they did in Golden State, they'll win the game. If they playing their game playing where just trying to beat you with offense as they do sometimes, they won't look so good here. So be interested to see if the Blazers can keep it going. They did lose 3 out of 4 last year to the Nuggets, but these two teams have bad blood since facing off against each other back-to-back years in the playoffs, guys. So the Nuggets will, every chance they get, will try to step on the Blazers here. I'd lean Nuggets, but it's nothing official for me. It's a tough game, man. I must say, my guys. But maybe you see a playoff style type of game there. Could see maybe an under type of game there. But let's go here and talk about some. We talk about some shirts real quick, my guys. Then we're gonna play this commercial, man. But real quick, if you guys don't mind, check out this commercial. You see what I'm saying? We got special promo codes for Rob, Veno, and my guy Ski Profit.
The NBA regular season tips off on Tuesday, October 18th, and who better to bet alongside than Rob Veno and Akeem Profit. Rob Veno enters the season ranked number 1 all-time in NBA profit at Wager Talk. On the flip side, Akeem Profit is looking to replicate last season after he finished up the year picking up over 44 units in profit for his NBA clients. And right now you can get the first 7 days of the NBA season for less than $5 per day per handicapper. For a limited time, you can get the first full week of NBA from both Rob Veno and Akeem Profit for the cost of just buying one of them. You heard right. For $69, you will get any NBA releases, including 5% best bets from Veno and Ski, from Tuesday, October 18th to Monday, October 24th, 2022. As an added bonus, the first 25 to sign up will get an additional 2 days added to their NBA access, a $100 value for free, taking you through October 26th.
You heard it right, man. First 25 people get an extra couple days over there, man. Go check us out. WagerTalk.com, my guys. We got Rob, Veno, Ski, but also other good cappers over there as well, my guys. It's not just those two. Doesn't matter, any handicapper as well, man. So what's up with you, Rob? You got any? What do you have going for us at Wager Talk, my brother?
Well, for today, I have 3 NBA plays up and available right now, Jay. So they're up there. And it is, as you mentioned, $9 Monday. So if you're ever going to try things out, Monday's usually the best time to try things out. I'm going to have a play in later week college football go up this afternoon as well, because I want to give folks a shot at $9 there too. So we got stuff up and available. And real quick, Jay, if folks watching aren't already members of wagertalk.com, just go in and put your email address in, get access to all the videos that we'll do this entire week, college football, NFL, all that stuff's for free. Even if you're not taking advice, at least you listen to analysis and maybe it points you in one direction or the other. So once again, wagertalk.com.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Rob. But you like anything on tonight's card?
You know, I'm going to go back to the one where you wouldn't take a firm stance, but I will take a firm stance on the Denver Nuggets. I just don't like Portland back-to-back in this situation. I think as we increase these minutes for Jamal Murray, maybe we see a little bit more offense out of Murray and Porter. Jokic still the guy. Aaron Gordon, now that he's like the fourth wheel, has played pretty well, fitting the role nicely. So I just think Denver's depth gets the better of Portland here. Like I said, it was a very, very tough game for Portland to win yesterday. And divisional foes, I think Denver comes in here, the rest of the team, and gets it done.
That's a great point there, Rob. In theory, the Nuggets should go on. After losing the first game, they won versus the Warriors, come back home, get a win versus the Thunder. It was a tight win, but they showed that they're trying to get on the streak. They're trying to build on the season here, right? They can definitely start out 5-1, 4-5-1 if they wanted to, my guys. So yeah, I lean to the Nuggets here. They definitely have more depth as well, catching the Blazers coming in on a back-to-back. It's definitely a tight game. I could see it being right on number, but real quick, man, $10 shirts, man. Use promo code WIN10 over at jmoneyismoney.com. You can get $10 off any shirt over there, my guys. Go check us out as well. And yeah, I didn't have anything official for me tonight, guys. Be perfectly honest with you, I'm kind of just chilling, watch some games. If I had a couple of looks that I'm looking at today, I'll be looking at the Rockets. It's not necessarily a fade of Jazz. It's just a fade of the spot that they're in. 3rd game in 4 nights, back-to-back. 4th game in 6 nights as well, and coming off 2 straight overtime games as well. The Rockets should get their first win of the season night. And the Bulls as well, I'd lean their way, heavily lean plus the 6. I think they can keep that game close, if not win outright, my guys. They're sitting at 0-1 at the house. Home dog here. catching the Celtics' third straight road game. I'd be looking towards the Bulls and the Rockets tonight, my guys. Wouldn't talk you off Denver. And let me see some other spots as well. Yeah, wouldn't talk you off that Raptors and Heat game under as well. That's Rob Veno. Go check him out at Wager Talk. I'm the host at J Money is Money. Go follow us on Twitter. We out, my guys. Let's get this cash. We're back tomorrow. It's us.